I'm Johanna Holmes, and today we're gonna embroider on a onesie. First, we have to get our supplies together. So let's go over here and I'll show you what I have. Of course, you'll need your onesie, a ruler, a marking pen, your measuring tape, scissors, pins, bobbin thread, fusible no-show mess stabilizer, your topping, your wash-away topping. And I like the fusible no-show mess stabilizer because you iron it on and it will keep your actual embroidery in place. Also, we have a 4x4 hoop is what we're going to use, and my design is on my USB. So now let's get started. My first step would be to turn my onesie inside out as I've placed it here on the ironing mat. Now the stabilizer, your no-show mess fusible stabilizer, needs to be cut wider than the hoop that you're using. I'm using a 4x4 hoop, so it's at least 1 inch to 2 inch on either side. So I'm going to take the sticky side and I'm going to place it on my onesie and I'm going to iron it on like this. My stabilizer is fusible and the onesie is made out of knit material, so therefore the stabilizer is going to give it a great placement for the embroidery stitches to adhere to. All right. So now what I do is I'm going to find my center line. So I'm going to turn it back on the right side for a moment. And I'm going to iron that center line so I can center the design properly. So you fold it in half, line up your armpits and the bottom of the leg. Smooth it out, make sure you don't have any wrinkles underneath. And we're going to find that center line right down the middle. Okay. So there's my center line. So here I'm marking the top of my design with the marking pen using the 2-finger guide. So I know I'm not going to embroider any higher than this. This is the top of my mark. Okay. My hoop, I'm going to unscrew it. And I'm going to go in through the bottom of the onesie with the hoop sideways. And I'm going to find that center line that I pressed earlier. The top hoop. I'm going to line that dot up with the center markings on the hoop. Now, sometimes it can be a little tricky. You just have to play with it. If you need to open that screw a little bit more, you can do so. I normally just go through the arm and open it up. Also, another thing I do, depending on the software program that you have for your design, I will print out a copy of the design and center it on here so I know exactly where my placement is. Now looking at this, it looks like I have a little bit more fabric on the onesie to the right. So I'm going to unclip this and just make sure I kind of center it just a little bit more over to the right. Again, using that top mark and that line that I ironed on to center my onesie. And you push it down And then I'm going to screw that in. Just screw it a little tighter because we don't want this hoop to pop out while you're embroidering. Okay, I think we're ready. Center line, so this is where, once I put this in the machine, the needle should line up there. So we're ready to go to the machine now. So our next step is to introduce our design to our machine. So now we're going to select our design by pressing that USB icon. And I'm going to look for the design, set it, and I'm going to rotate it to orientate in the direction that we need. Hit close, embroider, and making sure that the hoop size is correct. It says it's a 4x4. So now let's prepare our onesie for embroidery. So we have to flip this inside out on the hoop, like this. And I normally pull my sleeves out so they don't get in the way. And we're gonna do what we call puddling. We're just gonna kind of wrap it around on all four sides to get the excess fabric out of the way. So after turning my onesie inside out, we're going to slide the frame into the machine, making sure you get all that fabric underneath the pressure foot of the needle. Okay. Making sure that you line up that line that you ironed with the markings on your frame. This design, you have to babysit it because we have so much loose fabric here. And we're going to put our needle down and begin. Okay, one quick thing. Let's cut our thread at this point and remove our hoop. And I believe I'm going to pin this. So I'm going to puddle this a little better, a little tighter around my hoop. And I'm going to pin some of this away using the pins here. So this way we know this part of the fabric from the onesie won't just flop in there. Now we'll still need to babysit this. Don't ever walk away from an embroidery like this. We still need to sit here and watch it stitch out. You will still need to manage the excess fabric with your hands as the needle moves up and down through the design. But at least you know you'll have most of it kind of pinned away and tucked away from flopping into the design field. All right, let's bring it back underneath your pressure foot gently and sliding it the frame in. Okay, now you can see there, things kind of look a little clearer. So let's continue. Okay, here it indicates we're going to have a thread change. Well, this actually would be an applique. This is where you would set your fabric down so it will stitch over. So we're going to continue here because we're just using it as an embroidery stitch out, not an applique where you would put fabric down. Now I'll change the color and I'll continue with the stitch out. The stitch out's complete, but I wanted to mention something about the water-soluble topper. You've noticed that I did not use it, and that's because this design is an actual applique, and it gave me some foundation stitches that my satin stitch laid on top of. But if you are in doubt what type of stitching you're going to be stitching out, always use your water-soluble stabilizer, because then you will have that sandwich that your stitches can build upon and won't sink into your design. Okay, so now we're going to remove the hoop from the machine. So take your time. Make sure you get that fabric underneath the presser foot. Okay, isn't that cute? So guys, now we're at the ironing station. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up our design, remove the pins before I start anything. Let's go back here and take these pins out. So you can see your design flush here in the hoop. You want to take your applique scissors and clean up any loose threads that you may have in the design. Just get those off. Didn't have too many. So now we're going to remove the onesie from the hoop by turning your screw until it pops out easily. Okay, I'm going to put that to the side. So our onesie now is on the wrong side. So remember our fusible stabilizer? We're going to pull that up close to the design as possible on all four sides. Like that. Nope, I got a pin in here. There we go. Okay, and we're going to cut this stabilizer close to the design as possible. And I like to use my applique scissors just to make sure I don't cut the onesie. So I've got my duckbill scissors here. And I hold it like this. Just cut as close to the design as possible. It's the last side here. Okay. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you brought it in as close as possible to the design. So now we're going to use a piece of soft stitch to actually cover the design so it doesn't scratch the baby's chest. So I just kind of eyeball it there and make sure it's covering the edges of the fusible stabilizer beneath. And I start just by pressing to that edge. There, that's better. So now we cut along the edge. And we continue to iron that edge down. Okay, our edges are down. We turn it inside out to reveal our cute little teddy who's on the cloud. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial my way, and happy embroidering.